What is up, NFC West football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC West Roundtable powered by betUS. Week 13 is in the books. Tonight, we turn the page to Week 14. Couple of huge games in the division, including one interdivisional battle that feels like a playoff game in the first week of December. Tonight, we dive into all of the games, preview them, and predict our scores on the NFL Week 14 preview episode. Without further ado, let's bring in the boys, Jake, Jesse, Brandon, and Mike. Fellas, good to see a huge weekend. In fact, so all of these games are in the 4 p.m. window. No early games, no late games. It is literally a triple header all in the same window. A couple of huge games, including one, of course, as I just mentioned, that interdivisional battle between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Oh boy, I cannot wait for this game. They just played a couple of weeks ago. The Seahawks coming off of a win that felt like a loss early, able to get it done against the Jets. Cardinals felt like a win late, wound up losing it to the Vikings. These two teams just played 2 weeks ago. Now they battle it out again. Seahawks currently in first place. Cardinals right behind them. We head over to betUS right now to take a look at the line. The Arizona Cardinals are a home 3-point favorite, despite losing 16 to, what was it, 6, Mike? 16-6 the last guys played. Cardinals are a home favorite here. This is arguably the game of the weekend, just based on how much is at stake. The NFC West in general could be at stake for this game. Cardinals, like I said, 3-point favorite. The Hawks 3-point dog. All of the lines we're going to discuss on this episode and all the lines in general for Week 14 are up now on betUS. Use the promo code YouTube150, and that'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. All right, this one's going to be a good one, fellas. Can't wait for it. Jake, I'll start with you here. Cardinals lost the last time out. Followed that up with a game where, man, it just felt like they had it against the Vikings until Sam Darnold took it from them late. So a lot on the line here. Just played 2 weeks ago. Kyler didn't play great, pick 6, but that defense for Arizona really looked like they were playing well. Speaking of which, Seahawks defense really playing well as well. So, Jake, how do you see this one going down in Arizona?
Oh, man, this game is going to be so tight. I feel like the last time Seattle just kind of asserted their dominance, now that, of course, Arizona has seen this run defense for what it is, I think they have a lot to study off that Jets game. I think this is a desperate team. They're 4-2 at home. Seattle's 4-1. I think this could go to overtime, if I'm being honest with you. I'm going to say 20-17. The Cardinals save their season because I think they have to win this game. I'm going to say that right now. I understand the Cardinals have an easier road than a lot of these teams in this division, but I think the Panthers are playing pretty solid football right now, where that is not a gimme game it once was. I think Bryce Young is playing at a much higher level. I think the Rams game is going to be a problem. You're coming back to SoFi Stadium. And in addition to that, like, while the Patriots, they have pressure they can get to you, I don't think they necessarily can win that game. But that 49er game, if the 49ers are literally playing for nothing, that has to get them up to at least know we could spoil the Cardinals from making the playoffs, a team that beat us. And let's be honest here, that was a 24-23 ball game that some 49ers guys actually said they got lucky, right? And Jesse came on here and said, no, they didn't get lucky. They beat you. So if they're serious and, we'll beat them next time, well, I want to see that regardless if you're in the playoff race or not. So really what I want to say is that I think the Cardinals are aware this is a must-win game. I think Seattle has some leeway. I know they're going to be going up against much better teams, but I like Seattle the way they're playing more right now than Arizona. With that said, the way they played against the Vikings as opposed to the way Seattle played against the Jets, I'm going to take the Cardinals 20-17, and I'm going to say this goes to overtime.
Wow. I hope it does, because it has all the makings of doing so. The Cardinals, like you mentioned, Jake, this is the first of 3 divisional games in their final 5 games. Jesse, I'll turn it to you here. The Seahawks currently have a 1-game lead on this division. They put it on the line against Arizona Sunday. Who takes it?
Well, Mike's going to like this one because I've been basically wrong every week I'm picking the Cardinals, whether I pick them to win or pick them to lose. So I'm going to pick them to lose this week. You should feel pretty good about this one. I think it's a good chance you're going to win now.
He's been seeing it clear
Seattle
all
to
year
me,
long.
yep. Seattle to me is a team that they got the 49ers monkey off their back. And that I really think was such a big moment for Geno and that team. It's like the one thing that Geno and that team had not conquered, and they finally did it. And it's not just that they won, it's how they did it. It's that Geno had to go take that game at the end. And I think that was so important. And then you fast forward to the Jets game, and it's like, okay, yeah, they won ugly and all that. You travel from east to west. You had a Jets team coming off a bye. By the way, they've had 2 straight teams coming off of byes, and they've won those games. I think that's impressive in itself. But there was a lot of players on that Seahawks team that wanted some get back against their former team in the Jets. And I think that one was huge. I think that they're just riding super high right now. And Arizona doesn't have like the craziest home field advantage by any means. So I don't think that it's going to be like an insurmountable fan base. Like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to hear. This is going to be crazy. I think they're going to be able to operate and do the things that they need to do. So I'm going to go Seattle 24-20, proving that the first time around was not a fluke.
Speaking of that first time around, Brandon, your Hawks got it done, so I'll give you the honor of going first here. You control your own destiny. Will you continue to do so after Sunday afternoon? Do your Hawks get it done?
I will, and really only as much for as one main reason for this, which is the defense is playing at a dominant state. The last 3 weeks, they've averaged 12 points a game. Aaron Rodgers and company had 8 straight drives to finish that game without a single point. So to say that they're putting clamps on teams, and though you might take a little bit of time to find the clamps, you get the clamps on them, the clamps stay on them through the rest of the portion of that game by and large, and what they're showing you so far. And with Arizona, we handled their gap scheme on the run game last time very well. 9 yards for James Conner. I think they see a lot of things that they can replicate within that. We didn't talk a lot about the Evan Brown matchup there at left guard. That's a center who played center for us and was a piss poor center for us last year, who the Cardinals have moved to left guard. And that's who got his butt whooped by Leonard Williams a couple weeks ago, and who will once again probably be getting his butt whooped again by Leonard Williams in this game. They want to slide the double team over to him. Now you're singling up Byron Murphy over at the nose tackle. Whoop a right guard's butt on the other side of it. So I think there's a bit of a pickle the Cardinals are put in by their defensive strength that they have down there. Uchenna Nwosu coming back to help widen out the rotations on the edges. I think that even beyond what our offense does, our defense is going to do some similar things to this Cardinal offense they did last week. We got the cover guys that can hold up with a Marvin Harrison Jr. down the field. And I see this as a win, 24-17. I think Geno and the boys do just enough on their side of it. It's not going to be easy. It never is for our offense. The Cardinals defense is good enough, and they've proven they're good enough to make it a long day with the multiple stuff. But I do think we'll do just enough.
Mike, I know you lost the last time out, but you did only hold Seattle to 16 points, 7 of which came off of a pick 6. So you know the opportunity is there. The question is, will they take it? Will the Cardinals get it done in what feels like a playoff game for Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, the Arizona Cardinal defense only allowed technically 6 points because the pick 6, and then they missed a field goal. So there was 6 points on that touchdown swing. So, I mean, I don't know. I look at this Seahawks team, and yeah, I mean, they are doing good, right? And I've been disrespectful to them since the beginning of the season. But yeah, I got to give kudos, man. That defense is looking really, really good. And they have held down James Conner, but I'm going to be leaning on the side of, just like Jake, this is a must win. This is a must win for the Arizona Cardinals. And that's exactly the way that they're going to be treating this game because, you know, yes, we got the Patriots and yes, we got the Panthers right after, but like I'm still a big advocate of you got to have at least 9-10 wins to at least consider to win this division. So I do have my boys, winning this. Obviously I got to back my guys here. I think they're going to go ahead and get it done. A sweep is possible for sure for the Seattle Seahawks, but let's call it like it is. Whenever our teams are competitive, these games are just so freaking weird. We've seen like a field goal game before. Like we've seen weird games from Seattle and the Cardinals. So I'm going to lean on the fact that the elements really effed us up in that last game. We couldn't really get a run game going, and it just was really, really ugly type of game. So I think it's going to be very similar in this game, defensive type of game, but I feel like the Arizona Cardinals are going to figure it out and put some points up here on the board. So I'm actually going to say 17-13 Cardinals win this game.
Let's go from the 4:05 window to the 4:25 p.m. window, where the Chicago Bears, fresh off of firing their head coach midseason for the first time in a century, take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Bears look to get that dead cat bounce. from firing their head coach. Meanwhile, the 49ers coming off of 2 really bad losses, compounding injuries. They're just looking to bounce back in this game from the past couple of weeks in which we've seen from them. So with that in mind, the Niners are a 3.5-point home favorite right now against the Bears on betUS. So I will start here with Jake. Who gets it done here? Chicago fresh off the firing, or do the Niners bounce back after a couple of bad losses?
Oh man, this one's going to be tough. I'm a big fan of Thomas Brown. Followed him with the Rams. This is a guy that I think the Panthers totally missed the ball on. And since we've seen Caleb Williams play his best football since he became the offensive coordinator, I don't have to tell Brandon he's going to go into a tizzy if I even mention Shane Waldron. So we'll stop with that. But I do think that's a real thing. Now, going to Santa Clara, I think is a little different, right? This was at Soldier Field. I think I would take the Bears. I'm going to stick with the Niners in this one. I know things look bleak, and their season is probably over. But I just can't stress enough. If this team is just going to go 5-12 the rest of the way, then you might as well just fire Kyle Shanahan if you're just going to give up like that. I don't think they're going to do that. They're probably an 9-win team, 8-win team, maybe 7-win team, whatever. They're not going to lose to the Bears. They're not. I think this is going to be a game where the Bears give them some flack, but this team has not won on the road. They're 0-5. All 4 of their wins have been at home. And it's evident. When you watch Caleb Williams on the road, he's a much different quarterback than at home. So while I like the way Thomas Brown has gotten that offense going, obviously Keenan Allen being in the passing game like he should have been from day one has helped them. But I just think the 49ers are too talented, even with their backups. I expect Guarendo is probably going to have a pretty solid game. It's going to open up the door for the play action with Brock Purdy. And I think you're going to see guys like Juwan Jennings and George Kittle be able to kind of dissect them over the middle. And as long as you're able to score somewhat in the red zone, right? And this team has struggled to do that. The Bears have a great red zone defense. But if you're able to score half of your attempts, you can win this game. It's going to be ugly. I think it's a 20-14 ball game, but I think the 49ers get it done.
Brandon, who takes it, Niners or Bears?
Just your Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, DeMondre Lamore, and Nick Bosa playing in this game?
No idea. Too early in the week to know. That's the hard part, man. It's I think all play or none of them could play. And by the way, if Aaron Banks doesn't play, that's not really a loss. They're fine there.
All right, the backup's just as good. All right, well, I do tend to fall in line of thinking that this is a game that the Niners are just still better than the Bears by far in that way. If this was a game on the road in Chicago, I might give them the nod by 3 points. But playing at home, I got to feel like that the Niners are still good enough at home and they play so well at home that they can carry this through. But if you got 3/5 of those guys I just mentioned that don't make the game, that's a bit too far probably at that point. No Trent, no DeMondre Lamore. You guys are still down Shadarius Ward, I think, if I'm not mistaken, too. So
no,
he's back, but he's not playing particularly good, right? This year, he's kind of been less.
Yeah, he's had some personal stuff.
So I don't know. I'm on that line of it, but I'll give the Niners the nod here, 21-17. I just think they have enough to win out at the end of the day. And I do think Guarendo will play very good. He's been a good back for them this year. That's a good kind of running back fit for Shanahan's offense.
Mike, how do you see it going down in Santa Clara?
I'm just going to bring up the 4th, man. I think the 49ers are cooked, man. They're done. I seen this Bears team be involved in some of these games as well. I know the talent on paper, the 49ers have it. They do. It's just, I don't know. I see this team and I just don't even think functionally they're even checked in, to be honest with you. So although Guarendo definitely has flashes, look pretty good. They got Kittle, Juwan Jennings and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like I'm going to go ahead and actually lean this to the fact of this Chicago Bears team has actually been in a lot more games in the record isn't really, a tell of who this team is. They got some really good weapons with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. The run game's a little but I think this is going to be one of those games that, you fire a head coach and they're going to really want to fight for what the whole locker room wanted for a very, very long time and firing Matt Eberflus. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Chicago Bears actually squeak out a win. I'm not going to say they're going to dominate over the 49ers, but I'm saying they're going to squeak out a win here. I think they're going to beat them 27-24 Chicago Bears.
Mike's been jamming that fork into the Niners the last couple of weeks. Jesse, are you going to match him here or are your Niners taking it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like Jake said, hey, if the 49ers are going to go 0-5, they might as well just move on from Kyle. And I think that is a potential that if that were to happen, that they would move on. I also think losing on primetime Buffalo was pretty embarrassing. If they get mopped by the Lions on primetime, it becomes more possible. I think the 49ers will win 2 more games this year, and I don't know which 2 games those are, but I'm going to pick against them the rest of the year. They've shown me nothing. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. Next week against the Rams, I'm picking the Rams. I'm picking the Dolphins. Every week.
The Dolphins.
Now, yep. I do think that they are going to win 2
Down
games.
bad.
I just don't know where it's at. And I look at the Chicago Bears, who played not just playoff teams tight, but like very good playoff teams. They played Washington to a Hail Mary loss. Washington has 8 wins. They barely lost to the Vikings, who is a 2-loss team. They had the Packers about ready to win that game. They got a field goal kick blocked at the last second. Otherwise, they beat an 8-win Packers team, most likely. And then on Thanksgiving, we watched them play the Lions to a stalemate, and really, they let the Lions off the hook, man. Their coaching let the Lions off the hook there. So when I look at the Bears, there's some fight there. And that was with Eberflus, who they wanted no part of.
Yep.
Now you've gotten rid of him. That's a sigh of relief. You're coming off of a mini bye. And then the 49ers are coming off their worst back-to-back losses since the Jim Tomsula era. I just can't in good conscience pick the 49ers to win this game. I'm not saying they can't win, or I'd be shocked if they won, but I've got to lean with the Bears here. I'm going to go 24-23 Bears.
We will stay in the 420.
Oh, and by the way, I want to throw this out there. If they lose to the Bears, that's officially rock bottom.
Not the Dolphins. That's not.
Yeah, not the Dolphins.
We're pre-recording this, and I swear I wouldn't have been surprised to see TD come in after you said that they were going to lose to the Dolphins.
I know.
He just shows up like.
Yeah,
he might edit
and
himself
pops in.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, that would be great.
His radar was going off. He was like,
"Oh my god." All right, we'll stay in the 4:25 p.m. window for America's game of the week. Tom Brady on the call out in SoFi as the Buffalo Bills head out west to take on the LA Rams. Right now, the Bills are a 4.5-point favorite against the Rams on the road on betUS. A lot on the line in this game. The Rams trying to keep their playoff and NFC West hopes alive. The Bills trying to chip away at that 1 seed in the AFC and hoping to get some help from Kansas City at some point down the line here. Brandon, I'll start with you. Last 4 weeks, we've seen the Rams win 2, lose 2, lost a couple to teams that were better than the 2 that they beat. This is sort of the theme here where they've gone good, bad, good, bad. Here's good again. Big game for the Rams. It's at home. How do you see it going down?
Yeah, I think that the Bills offense is just well structured to go at what is a good Rams defense. And that for instance, when you get the Rams running the stunt game that they like to run, I think that does leave you vulnerable at times to a hypermobile quarterback because guys are trying so hard to run as hard as they can in that flip. And it can kind of open that door for the scrambling. And we've seen with Josh that if you open those doors up for him, he will take it and he can hurt you in that way when he does take it. I think too that they've got the guys on the outside, which is you've got so many variety of targets for Allen to go at here to where he doesn't have to just lock on one main guy and the Rams could just take one guy away. A little bit like they were able to do in that Viking game against Jefferson, who started to hurt him early and then later on in that game sort of take him away. I just don't think you can do that here with the Bills. They're patient offensively. I think that's enough to counteract that. And I just don't think Stafford and company have enough offensively this year that they've shown to be productive enough to sort of match tit for tat on the offensive game where it turns into some sort of 34-31. I think they'll keep it close, but I'd probably go something more like, 24-21 kind of game where it gets down the wire, but the Bills are ending up winning out.
Mike, what are your thoughts? Rams get it done or the Bills continue to roll?
No, I think the Bills continue to roll, man. I don't think the Rams are no slouch. Offensively, I mean, the defense there, they're pretty good. It's pretty solid as well. But I don't know. I just feel like this Bills are just completely another level right now. And I think they're going to try to complete, like you said, the Infinity Stone, right? They're just trying to go through this damn West. And I feel like it's going to be no different. I think the Bills are going to take this. very, very comfortably. And that's no disrespect to the Rams. It's just how powerful this team is with Josh Allen. I'm actually going to say this is going to be a 14-point win here for the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to say it's 35-21. You're going to try. The Rams are going to try. They're going to put points up. It's just this Bills is just on another level right now. So I'm going to say 35-21. I think that's 14 points. Yeah, I'll say Bills.
Jesse, your Niners just played the Bills. They play these Rams a week after this upcoming week. So familiar with both teams, of course. How do you see this one going down?
Bills by whatever they want. No, I'm just joking. I think that the Bills can be ran on, and not just last week. I know it was a snow game, but you watch the Bills. They give up some yardage on the ground for sure, and I think the Rams will be able to run the ball effectively. And I could see a scenario where this game's a lot lower scoring than maybe we think, because both teams will be able to run the ball. Ultimately, I think Keon Coleman comes back. I think that'll be a boost for the Bills that they didn't need, quite frankly, but they'll get one. They'll probably keep Kincaid out until the Lions game, I imagine. So the Bills they're a well-oiled machine right now. Joe Brady's such a good offensive play caller. Josh Allen's maybe the best doing it in the world. It's going to be really hard to beat them. And then, now he doesn't have to throw in a blizzard. He just gets to go to a dome and just chill. He's going to probably light it up as well. So I got to go. I think the game will be closer than what I'm making it sound. I'm going to go 27-20 Bills. I just think that the Bills are too good right now.
It's games like against your Niners where a lot of Bills fans wish the new stadium would have a dome. It won't, but they'll be playing in the dome like you just mentioned this upcoming week against your Rams, Jake. Huge game for LA. How does it go down against Buffalo?
Oh boy, Buffalo again. Okay, so the Bills all time are 9-5 against the Rams. Last time the Rams beat the Bills, they were in St. Louis. It was 2012. It was the coldest day of my life. I was at Buffalo and I watched Sam Bradford go down the field and throw a game-winning touchdown to Chris Givens to win 15-12. That's where we're at right now. Okay,
he had his peak Rams and Bills football in the early 2000 teens, by the way, right there.
I looked back at like my old Facebook posts and I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to the playoffs. They were like 6-1 that year or whatever. It's the year I think they tied with Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers.
Yeah.
Abolish all the ties. Anyway, they've won twice since 1998 against this team. This team is absolutely a thorn in the Rams side historically. Now let's talk about it from an actual standpoint, what they are today. I watched 4 games, last night with the Bills. I couldn't sleep. I'm a psycho. I get it. Z-Bot, So I watched those 4 games. What I came away with the Bills is this. I think the Rams can be in this game. I think the Rams could win this game if they didn't have Josh Allen. Josh Allen is literally the worst case scenario. He is the worst matchup possible for what the Rams get beat by. I mean, we saw it with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not playing his best football that he's ever played. Okay, this is not Super Bowl Jalen Hurts. And it just takes having that mobility when plays break down. And the Rams have done a nice job of that. I thought Chris Shula did a nice job of that against Derek Carr, who's had a really good season when he's been able to play and be healthy. I thought they took away a lot from Jalen Hurts. It's why they had to resort to running the football. They have done that. The only player that I really think has just absolutely dominated the Rams, aside from Saquon Barkley, was Brock Purdy. I thought Purdy in week 3 was like insane against the Rams defense. Of course, Trey White was on the team then. So I think this is going to be a 34-24 ball game. Bills win. I think the Rams will be in it. But at the end of the day, the only way the Rams can win, it doesn't matter if Kincaid plays or Keon Coleman plays. I don't really care. I think the Rams can beat them, but I also think the Rams can lose to them. And I think more often, if these two teams played in a 10-game series or whatever, the Rams would win maybe 2 of them. Right. And the best way for them to win is this. They have to take exactly what the Colts did. They have to get to Josh Allen. This Bills pass rush isn't going to get to Matthew Stafford the way the Eagles got to Matthew Stafford. This Bills pass rush has been, honestly, you can minimize it a little bit. Aside from Greg Rousseau, this team doesn't have a ton of games where they have, oh my God, you can't stop them. But they do have some of those big games, especially against the Jaguars. I think it was the Dolphins. They both had like 30 pressure games in those. The point I'm making here is this. There are 2 players on that Bills team that scare the crap out of me on the defense. It's Greg Rousseau and Christian Benford. I think they're both very dangerous. I think they're all really good. Aside from those guys, Like Von Miller's a situational pass rusher in this point in his career, which is a problem for the Rams. You throw him on obvious passing downs on third down, he can make you pay. But when I look at the Bills defense, I don't see a lot here outside of those two guys that I'm freaked out about. I look at the Seattle Seahawks defense, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of guys I have to worry about. Bills, not so much. So to Jesse's point, they're going to be able to run the football, but how much are they going to stick to running the football? And Matthew Stafford has dominated play action this year, but he doesn't like it. So is he going to continue to have that play action they did at a 50% clip last week against the Saints? To me, the only way they are beating the Bills is if Matthew Stafford doesn't turn the ball over, which he hasn't as of late. They run the football. They're committed to it. They open up with the play action pass, and they take the top off the defense with Tutu freaking Atwell, who is basically a paperweight at this point. They need to let him get going. On the defensive side, they need to play Ahkello Witherspoon over Darius Williams. They're not going to do that. Josh Allen doesn't even have to run that much. Just on third downs, that is the backbreaker. If you get a 3rd and 11 and Josh Allen takes off and gets 14, that defense is going to stay on the field another 4 downs and then another 4 after that. So that's the thing. I just think Josh Allen is really what is taking this team. And when Mike says this team is just unstoppable, or I forget how you worded it, I don't think this is the best Bills team that we've seen in the Josh Allen era. But I think Josh Allen is a much better quarterback than he's been in years past. He's making the right decisions, and he's understanding of, hey, if I have to put this team on my back, I will. But he's also not sitting there like checking out of obvious run plays because he wants to throw the ball. He's letting the offense run the way it's supposed to be run by Joe Brady. And Joe Brady's doing a great job of keeping it balanced. And I think ultimately that's what's going to hurt the Rams. So 34-24, if they win, understand this. If the Rams beat this Bills team, if the Rams beat Josh Allen, they are as dangerous
next week. Oh, I'm sorry. No.
If the Rams beat Josh Allen, who in my opinion is the worst matchup they could go up against, worse than Saquon Barkley, believe it or not. If they beat Josh Allen, I think this team can go the distance. But I have to see it to believe it. And I just don't think it's going to happen. So 34-24, and it remains the last time the Rams beat the Bills. I was there in the coldest day of my life at Ralph Wilson.
You know why Ahkello Witherspoon's not playing, by the way? Jesse can back me up on this, Jake.
I know why he's not playing. I have
insider. You know why?
Yes, I know.
Well, at least why he's moved on from the Niners after he played well for them in coverage for a year, and why he moved on from the Seahawks and they traded him to the Steelers is the man can cover. There's no doubt about that, but he does not want to tackle for his life.
I'd push back on that. I think he's the best tackling corner by a mile on this team. Darius
he's
Williams
learned how to do it. I mean, Jesse, was he a good tackler for you guys when he was there?
No, not for us. I think the Steelers kind of got that into him a little bit. I think he improved a little bit there, but no, it wasn't for us.
I mean, I'll be honest with you guys because it's no shock. I mean, I've said it out loud before. Ahkello Witherspoon is basically being punished because he didn't sign for pennies during the offseason. So because he didn't sign for pennies during the offseason, they moved on from, him and went to Trey White and, went to, Kobe Durant and Darius Williams. He's the odd man out. Whether he's the best cornerback on the roster or not, they're taking it out on him. And it's unfortunate. He's still signed for pennies. This is a guy that started over 20 games for this team, replaced Jalen Ramsey, has made about $2 million total over 2 years. And he's been a model of consistency. He's been healthy. I can tell you why Seattle let him go, because Pete Carroll didn't like the way he plays. He's very unconventional. He's not a rah in your face. He doesn't play like the Legion of Boom. He doesn't have that stance. He plays more lackadaisical.
They got rid of him because he didn't tackle.
Well, no. I mean, they didn't like that he wasn't in your face like Rob. That was what Pete Carroll didn't like about it.
Well, no, because they've had plenty of corners like Shaquille Griffin that have come through that are the same exact way, where they're not those Legion of Boom guys in that Carroll time. It was specifically, I remember covering at the time. It was because a lot of people wanted to keep him because he could cover. But it was just that in a track back at that time, back to his time in the Niner days, where he just couldn't, he did not want to tackle. There was not a willingness to get out there and tackle at all. And it showed up time and time again on the tape so bad that the team had to move him on that. That was it, because there's plenty of corners that Carroll had through the end that weren't Richard Sherman, Brandon Browner types, that were pretty far as you could get from those type of players at the end.
But as far as on this team right now, right? Darius Williams is an ankle biter. Kobe Durant has his moments, but I've watched Ahkello Witherspoon actually tackle. I've watched him shut down guys. I don't know what it is against the guy. I really don't know. I mean, the
It's
NFL
kind of an indictment, isn't it, man? If your coaching staff has a player that's better and that they know is better than the guy that they're running out there, but because they have some sort of personal grudge with him, they're not putting him out on the field. That's a major indictment of the coaching staff.
And don't get me wrong, I love the Rams coaching staff, but I feel like that's what they're doing. I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm saying I feel like that's what they're doing. They could have gotten him for cheap and he wanted to see his options and didn't come through the training camp, and they had their plan, and it's a rookie defensive coordinator. And I just think, you see it, and it's not even, there are people that don't like him for whatever reason. I mean, the guy has never said a word, and normally corners are divas, but people don't like him. But I'll tell you right now, when you watch the film, he's the best cornerback on this team. When he had that pass breakup to save their game against the Raiders, they edited that out of the NFL YouTube video of all the highlights from the game. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he did, but it's insane to me. The whole thing with the Steelers as well. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, I just think that from the perspective of just wanting the team to play the best players, I think that's what's really hurting them. And I think they've been able to cover it up because they have the best pass rush in the NFL right now. But that luck will run out when you go up against the Bills. That luck will run up when you go up against the Eagles. And that's why having him on the field for 10 snaps against the Eagles and things like that, I think has cost them, maybe not a game, but it's cost them possessions and what have you. So yeah, just obviously that's long and everything, but those are my thoughts on that. I don't even know how we got to that, but no, I appreciate the insight, Brandon, and love a little debate,
Brandon's cat wants some food, so we got to get running. That's going to do it. The NFC West Roundtable Week 14 preview episode in the books. The picks are locked in. Cannot wait to see who ends up wearing their shades next week on the recap episode. In order to tune into that, or at least be notified when to tune into that, hit the subscribe button on your way out the door. Also, throw us a like if you'd be so kind. Also, all the Week 14 lines are currently up on betUS. Take advantage of them using the promo code YouTube150. That'll get you 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. For Jake, Jesse, Mike, and Brandon, I'm your host, Zbot. Thanks so much for tuning in to the NFC West Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.
Go Cards.
Go on.